Ladies and gentlemen, this was my tier list from the previous week. Let's just have a look at it. I'll stand the test of scrutiny. I think the big one is of course Mad Lions. I think Mad Lions they are running out of credit. It's like imagine all of these teams, they're in an arcade and they have like coins, they have and Mad Lions is definitely the one that stands out as a sore thumb here in this one. Let's restructure this. Let's start from the get-go. Let's start over completely. So this is me judging the teams not based off of their future matchups or so forth. This is just how I evaluate the teams, and it is going to, of course, be a part of my reasoning as to why I put them up there, right? So first and foremost, I will put G2. So even though G2, they're playing a little bit more inaccurate and they don't have the same level of precision, I think that still when it comes to the mid to late game in terms of how they fight, how they play together, how they transfer pressure, I think is super, super good. I think the main thing to look out for G2 is, I think in terms of how they figured out how they draft, I think that eventually will land in a place that will make sense. I think that as things get more and more intense for G2, they're going to have to tie the sack together. So I am not worried about this. I think this is perfectly fine. I think G2 is still the strongest team in the region. I think it would be crazy to bet against G2 coming into BO1. But I think the main thing comes down to draft, right? I think if G2 drops a couple of BO1s coming into this weekend, I don't care too much. That's not going to change my opinion of G2. I still think they have fantastic players, very strong players. I think that the biggest difference I think G2 has over everybody else is just Caps and Mickey. I think Caps and Mickey, I think that they have such a clear separation between them and everybody else. This is the most important thing. And the team I would like to put next to them is of course Vitality. So the main thing for me is when I think of Vitality and the two losses, I think people are taking them way too far. I think it just starts from draft. I think that they had... I think Bo, you shouldn't put him in positions where he's very restricted early game. Don't put him in that position. I don't think that's good. I think Vitality are at their best when they can actively fight and pressure with how strong their laners are. They need to step away from blinding Lissandra. They need to step away from blinding Asol. Allow yourself to maybe blind pick for Photon and then 5 pick top, 5 pick mid, because I think that Photon is going to be really fucking good regardless, and I think that Perks can find ways to thematically counter the enemy. I think that they played 2 drafts that were really, really fucking hard to execute, and I think G2 pressed them super hard in the later stages of the game, and I think that Bo definitely did plenty of mistakes when playing from behind, but I think that Vitality, just need to allow themselves to have some weapons in the game, They need to have some weapons in the game. Perks needs to find better champions to play, because blind pick Lissandra, blind pick Asol, I think that was like insanity. It's like you walk into a game against G2 and you have lane matchups where you can do very little. You're 4 on the bottom side, Gragas, Aurelion Sol, Lulu, Zeri. These are champions that can't find a lot of activity. It's like Gragas did 3 camps bot side and to go to Tribush, and they were looking for a bot dive that I don't think is possible. But, all of those things add up, right? Definitely Bo could play some of those fights better, but I don't think we should. I think the hate is overblown. I think these are things that Vitality definitely are going to look at and be better. We continue. I think that nobody else belongs in the S tier. I think the team that I want to go through, my instinct, maybe I'm going to change this, but my instinct moves me towards SK. I think it just depends. It's like when it comes to these 3 teams, I think it just depends on your flavors, It's like, what are your flavors? Or what kind of taste do you prefer, SK, their main issue is that their early game is not sharp enough. But I believe out of these 3 teams, they are the team that is the most complete. I think that SK haven't shown that they have enough firepower to compete against G2 and Vitality. I think when it comes to Astralis and BDS, I think these are 2 teams that come with a lot of variance, because these are teams that can find very unique approaches to the draft. And I think that can provide them an edge. I think BDS and Astralis, like if it was a game of who is going to be best in the first 10 minutes of the game, I definitely believe that they are more accurate and more precise than SK currently from what we've seen. When it comes to the consistency of Astralis, right? I think that they showed, it's like they've won games off of the back of the enemy over considering what leader is going to play. And it turned into like the easiest game ever for leader to play. Like, for the love of God, Vitality blind pick Lissandra. It's insanely disrespectful. I think it's like, you're basically like, oh, you can only play melees, ha ha ha. Like, that's just Bentu. And I get it, they had like Kaiser and they had a little combo going on, but come on. Like, that was way too much, you know? It's like, if I had to choose a team out of these three that has like the best odds of upsetting G2 and Vitality, I will put Astralis, because their approach to the game allows them to really create circumstances where their ability to assess risk and utilize risk and pressuring early will put them in game states where they are in control. And I think that they've been decent at converting advantages. We continue. Now we have the bottom five. You know, it's hard to drop Mad Lions super hard. Mad Lions are looking terrible. Like, they are looking fucking terrible. Let's be honest. They are so disconnected. I feel like Mad Lions' performance is based off of how well Elioya plays and how Hilly plays, because I think that they elevate Niski, right? The games where Niski is popping off is because Elioya and Hilly are smurfing. Mad Lions, I don't know how to judge them, honestly. And the reason I'm highlighting Elioya and Hilly is because I think these guys are the ones that were the difference makers when it came to Mad Lions actually getting second place. They were very good at connecting, very good at being first into areas, and they created advantageous fight scenarios through being first and having a good awareness of what tempo is. Currently, that same level of play is not there. It's like all of those games when Niski was performing super well was because, you know, like, of course, props to Niski, you know, he did good, but he also had the backup of Elioya and Hilly. You know, basically, it's like it was the three musketeers around mid lane, you know, in terms of how they pressured, you know. It's like Elioya's jungle proximity around mid was super good, and I think that's what's important. I think the main thing here for Mad Lions, the issue that they run into is, I think that every team that is going to play against Mad Lions, I think they're just going to deny Annie, Rakan, and these are the champions that put Hilly in a position of power. All right, second, it's like, yeah, Koi is weird, because it's like Koi is the same. It's like you removed Rakan from their pool and then they lost their mind, right? I still feel that game against Fnatic, if they fourth picked Azir, then all of a sudden the whole game is different. Koi still has the potential to do good. It's like right now, it's like I look at Koi, I think Comp is decent. I think Trimby is on and off, but when he's on, he's really good. Malrang, I don't know what the fuck Malrang is doing right now. Like, Malrang right now, like, let me just show you this sequence, okay? It's like, sure, I'm showing how horrible Malrang is playing, and maybe that should be my incentive to put him lower. But my man did red into mid gank, took a turret shot, he's taking full damage from him, and now Malrang can't clear his jungle anymore, man. What on earth was this? So they burnt Humanoid Flash, but Humanoid, like, Lee Sin can't even clear his jungle. Look, he does blue, and he's kiting it for his life, dude. He's kiting it for his life, and then he's not doing Gromp. He's doing Wolves, because the Gromp will... I don't know if the Gromp would kill him. I guess not, right? I guess not. It's like... But he does Wolves. Then he crosses into topside. And now he has Golems up, Gromp up, and they didn't do it. And then this here, right? It's like, they crash this wave. I don't know why they're pushing forward. Like, well, what's happening, bot here? Why are they pushing forward? Maybe this is why Malrang is perma-ganking. Maybe this is why Malrang is perma-ganking, because when he doesn't, his team just dies when they really shouldn't. They're sitting on wards on their inventory. Ward is coming up 330 on Kalista. It's like, to die here is a travesty. The thing is, it's like, Malrang wasn't this player in Korea. He wasn't this player in Korea. He came to Europe, he joined Koi, and then he's like, holy shit, this is how I need to be. It's like, here, I guess I'm being nostalgic about the players, right? I'm being nostalgic about the players. And there's a big part of me here that puts stock in Koi's ability to figure some shit out. Because last split, right? Last split, they looked like Garbaggio, and then in third week, they beat Vitality, they humiliated them, and then they were really good. So it's like, for me, I can even see the argument for putting Koi above Mad Lions. I just think that Koi in their wins looked legit. So we continue. Out of these three, like in my mind, I would put Fnatic here on a third. Fnatic, I think the main concern I have about Fnatic is that they are getting away with picking mid 4-5, and teams aren't good at spotting which bans to make. In their wins, okay? In Fnatic's wins, which is very important, extremely important. Fnatic here. So, the enemy first picks Zeri, which I think is already a mistake, right? Because in a world where you first pick Xayah here, the enemy can't pick Vi and you have Turbo Draft, okay? That's already like one thing. And then you go 4-5, and Team Heretics ban Aurelion Sol and Olaf. They let Talia through when the enemy has Vi and Nautilus showing. How is that possible? And it's the same thing for Fnatic Koi. And once again, Fnatic had Xayah, Vi, Nautilus. I can tell you guys, coming into next week, no one is going to let anybody get Xayah, Vi. And another layer of this, right, is... So they banned Jace. Okay, they banned Jace. Oscarini played the game of Jace. Okay, that's like fine. Alright, they did it. But once again, Azir. I think the Azir is a very important pick here. I think in the world where the enemy picks Azir here and they have Kalista Azir, it would be really good. But obviously there were some gameplay points about that Fnatic did good. But I think that Vi is the perfect champion for the teams that are bad. I think that these teams, the teams that are bad, and it's harsh to say, right? But the bottom teams, when they're playing the Vi compositions, it's very streamlined in terms of what they need to do in the game, and also it's very streamlined in terms of what they need to draft. Team Heretics, as mentioned before, I think that Ruby had one of the best games ever against Mad Lions. You know, still, what happens in a world where Team Heretics don't get Vi? You know, that's the main thing for me, right? I need to elaborate on that, and I need to play that out. So it's like I have to put Excel a third. I think all in all, I think this is a fair placement of everybody, right? I think that you can maybe make this type of change. But if you're playing against Fnatic, Team Heretics, don't fucking let them play the Vi comps. And if you're playing against Fnatic and you drop into 4-5, find the right bans. Remove fucking Talia if that's the case. Remove Azir if that's the case. And then play the game.